Hey, this is Dave from Cheapwinefinder.com. And we have another companion podcast, like we always do, talking about wine and particular wines. And I got a story today. It was kind of weird. I live in Chicago, just north of downtown. And I went out and, you know, this is like we're in lockdown in Chicago as they're trying to do it by the book. And today was supposed to be the first day that things open up a little bit. And I was, oh man. And we had the looting and we had the riots and we had the protests. And they came up this far, I was watching people yell, no justice, no peace. And so I went out and tried to go to a store to get some wine because I figured I don't need a pick-me-up. I'm going to get something I really like to drink. And everything was shut down and boarded up. And after being months in lockdown, to see everything boarded up was kind of depressing. Actually, I've had it easy. I'm not sick. I don't know anybody who's sick. And I don't really know anybody who suffered too much from the lockdown. Most people I know, did fine. They were happy to be home. But it's like, oh man, but there's a sunny side to the story, and that's because Trader Joe's was open. Where I live, it's on they're in an old factory building on the second floor. I mean, it's kind of nondescript. You got to get up there. And they're fine. No one did anything bad to them. So I go up there, and I'm looking around, and you have to wait in line to get in, of course. And I picked up the Kingsley California Sparkling Wine Brut Rosé, Method Champenois, which is the traditional method. And it's $6.99, and it's made by Rack and Riddle. And it's like, whoa, $6.99 for a traditional method sparkling wine is kind of, crazy, really. You see some value price cavas, which are also in the traditional method. Just as a quick refresher, there's two main kinds. There's more than two, but there's two main kinds to put bubbles in wine. The Charmat Method is how they make Prosecco, and they have these huge tanks that are pressurized, and they pour the wine in there after it's been fermented once. It's still wine. And they add a measured amount of sugar and yeast, and then they lock it up and put the pressure on. And then it depends on each producer, but it could be a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and you got bubbly. With the traditional method, or method champenois, like they said on this one, champagne, they ferment it the first time, and then they bottle it. And they don't bottle all the way to the top. And each bottle, they add a little bit of sugar, a little bit of yeast, and then they block it up temporarily. And then in champagne, and this is a California bubbly, there's no rules and regulations for California bubbly, but in champagne for the next year and a half, every 2 days, they move it a quarter turn, because the dead yeast can stick to the inside of the neck of the bottle and you'll never get it out. So nowadays it's all mechanically done, but back in the day, it was done by hand, carpal tunnel syndrome. Some guy was moving that thing a quarter of a turn and there'd be a million bottles. And when they had multiple guys doing it. When one guy was done with the million bottles, he went back and started again. That was his job. Now it's mostly automated. It gets moved from, either machines that move back and forth, something that happens. Now, there is no information about Kingsley. I don't know other than Rack and Riddle made it. Rack and Riddle, Quake from Cheapwinefinder.com. He did one, check out Quake and Alexa talk about wine. That's just a couple days ago, podcast. He visited Rack and Riddle on one of his tours of Sonoma, and he said every single bubbly brand in the United States he saw pallets of in the Rack and Riddle Sonoma facility. They make bubbly for almost everybody. Certain people make it themselves, but if they don't make it themselves, Rack and Riddle does it. So they know what they are doing. I don't know what the grapes are. I don't know anything about this wine other than Rack and Riddle made it at $6.99 and Trader Joe's sells it. So that's pretty much, you see traditional method California champagne made by a really kind of well-liked producer. And it's $6.99. It's like, whoa, there's something going on here. Either it was made to be $6.99, which it could have been, Or Rack and Riddle had something left over and they decided to sell to Trader Joe's, or, some kind of scenario arrived. And actually, I think it should have cost more when I started drinking and writing about it in the review, and that's on cheapwinefinder.com. You can check it out. I was kind of looking for reasons why it's there's something wrong with it, because I've read that bubbles, you can tell a quality wine by the size of the bubbles, because like even it works for Prosecco, it works for champagne, it works for any sparkling wine. The longer the second fermentation lasts, the tinier the bubbles get, the better they're incorporated. So if it doesn't last very long, it's not very well incorporated, and the CO2 bubbles in there are larger. But how do you tell a difference between a teeny tiny bubble and a tiny bubble? It's kind of hard to do. I'm looking, are those tiny bubbles? Are those teeny bubbles? What's going on? And I think they were tiny bubbles. When I wrote about it, then I looked at it again and went, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the grapes are. I just took a sip. It's got some of that lip smacking acidity that I like, especially good for inexpensive wines, because if you have an expensive bottle of wine, you kind of want to drink it at your own pace. But when it's inexpensive, if it has that lip smacking kind of tantalize you, kind of beckons you to take another sip. Well, good, because you always, it's $6.99. You can, what's that? It's almost 3 bottles are still only $21. You know what? You can drink all you want. Now, if you have a $200 bottle of champagne, you might want to make it last a while. But these, drink them up. So there you go. I mean, this is a ridiculously priced champagne method bubbly, made by someone who's probably made half the California bubblies you've had to drink in your life. Sold at a ridiculously low price from Trader Joe's. I haven't heard anything about it. Kingsley, I've never seen this bottle before, this brand before. A lot of their wines their bubblies are from France, or maybe Spain, and a lot of times they're Charmat Method. If a bubbly does not say traditional or champenois on it, it's probably Charmat. Because anytime it's made in Traditional Method, they brag about it. And anytime it's made in the Charmat Method, they kind of go, yeah, it's made in the Charmat Method. So not that it makes a difference, because there's really wonderful drinking, Charmat Method wines. And, if you like it, you like it. And there's not that much, one's not great and the other one's not bad. They're both good. So this is a $6.99 bubbly. Trader Joe's, made by people who know what they're doing. I was kind of bummed out looking at the boarded up doors around here. This ain't a neighborhood that has boarded up things. And now I'm kind of happy because I'm drinking a wine that is unexpected, and it made me happy. And that's what wine does to you. And I hope everybody out there did well. It's opening up now. You can, I walk to the store. I have a mask. I have this, a kind of bandana kind of thing I go for. You put it on, you just leave it on. And I was like one of the 3 people wearing it, what the heck. I think I look like Jesse James robbing a bank. So I'm cool with it. So if they can't rock that either, it's not my fault. It's their fault. But there you go. What's the name of this thing again? Kingsley, California Sparkling Wine, and the Traditional Method, the Method Champenois, because they're really cool there, where they speak French where they make this wine, though it's California. And I don't know the grapes. I don't know anything, but I didn't know it's $6.99. It tastes real good. So you don't need to know much more than that. So I'll be talking to everybody later, in the next couple of days. We got a bunch of stuff going. Hopefully, as everything opens up in the world, I don't know, will the world going to get better or not? I'm not sure what's happening. But we'll talk to you, and we'll keep the wine going. So adios, keep it cheap, and we'll be talking.